Hey family, Gracie here. I hope you all are doing amazing. I am doing well myself. Thank you so very much to the returning subscribers and new members on the channel for your unwavering support to me on here. I don't take any of it for granted. Shout out to Mr. Derek, who is a member on this channel. Your exclusive support through the member packs means a lot to me. So once again, thank you so very much. Now, before we go into today's story, I would like to ask you to do me one favor. Can you please watch to the end of this story? And the reason as to why I'm asking you is because such stories sometimes do not end up on national media in our countries here. And sometimes these stories actually get suppressed. Sometimes these stories, we make them, but we are not even paid. Yes. And for reasons that you all know, some of these platforms are actually controlled and monitored and censored, all right? But the only way we can bring change in our communities and in our countries is when you guys decide and choose to watch these videos, share them with your friends, so we expose what these palm coloreds and Asians and Indians are doing to the nationals. A few weeks ago, I brought you a story by a Kenyan lady that was complaining about Indians mistreating and discriminating against the locals.
Indians in Africa, and especially in Kenya, we all know your ancestors were brought into these lands to come and build the railway line by the British. After the British left, you guys stayed to be part of us, which was only fair because you guys deserve to be here. But please, help me beg the older generation of Indians in Kenya to stop being racist towards the Kenyan people, towards the black. Pay black people the same wages you pay your own kind for the same services offered. A lot of Kenyans are suffering in EPZ, industrial area, and all the industries that are Indian owned because they're being treated very brutally. There's a lot of racism. Please.
Unfortunately, that was just one story, and some people think that's all. But there are so many stories that are coming out, and that is because we are coming out to talk about these things. Like I said, they do not end up on national medias. What ends up on national medias is when the nationals decide to take the law in their own hands and they act because the governments are not listening to them. And what happens is when these people act up and probably destroy something, that's when they decide to call nationals or locals violent and criminals, all right? But they do not take into consideration the fact that these people spoke and nobody was willing to listen to them. Now, with that video that I made, it did not even make so much rounds. It did not even gain so much views, which is okay. I did my part. Now I landed on another video on a very prominent channel, which is Kenyan. Some of you, my subscribers, are already subscribers on there, and probably you are familiar with this story. This was a Chinese restaurant here in still in Nairobi that is actually discriminating against black people or black Kenyans.
Today, I came across a Twitter post by Dr. Ekuru Aukot. Dr. Ekuru Aukot said that recently he went to a Chinese restaurant, a Chinese Indian restaurant known as Peter Dong Cuisine that is located in Westlands, Nairobi, Kenya. And you know what? Those guys in the hotel, in the restaurant, did not attend Dr. Ekuru and his crew because apparently they are racist. You know that Dr. Ekuru Aukot is very black. And according to his Twitter post, he spent more than 15 minutes in the restaurant and nobody attended him and his crew. And another thing that he noted in his post is that 100% of those customers were Indian or Asian. So he sarcastically says that if you have to attend this hotel, you have to find a turban and wrap around your head so that probably you get a chance to be served. So my message to this Peter Dong Chinese restaurant, which, according to him, 100 like I said, all the customers were Asian. If they don't like the natives, if they don't like the locals that much, why don't they relocate their restaurant to India, China?
So people thought that the story was fake if you go in this comment section. And what I want to do is read some of those comments, and then I want to come back and read the actual tweet. So, okay, guys, let me read the tweet in its entirety. This is from Dr. Ekuru Aukot. I never thought I would experience racist behavior in my own country. My friends and I went for lunch at the Peter Dong Chinese restaurant on Rabto Road, Westlands. The stairs sent a chill to us. 100% of the patrons are Asian Indians. If you courage to visit this racist restaurant, ensure to paint yourself white or be Asian Indian color, and ensure to wear a Kalasinga turban. For 15 minutes, no one attended to us. We walked out, no apology, no nothing. We went to the homely Thai Chai restaurant by Sarova. Excellent service. So there were some comments under this tweet, all right? This is from a brother by the name of Oti. I eat there often as it is next to our gym. The Chinese owner has been so respectful, so attentive to all races. There is no racism with him. I know the staff and they treat us so well. I hate racism, but this isn't right. The owner is not racist. I can't speak to why Ekuru was not. Another person from Kenya says, walking away without protesting was an act of cowardice. Maybe you thought that walking away was a form of protest. It doesn't work with racists. In another tweet, somebody said, our land is already gone, and you said you doubted that was true. Now this experience of yours tells, and whatever else.
Now, there's another story that is like the same. I want you to look at this one.
So guys, here we go again. In Kenya, another Chinese business refusing services to black people. And this is not the first, second, or third time this is happening. So it's not a coincidence or it's not by accident. It has been purposely done in these countries discriminating against black people. So take a look at this video and we're going to see what the workers are talking and the news to the reporters about the same issue. Take a listen. Boom.
It is a go-slow by a group of employees at Chongqing Chinese restaurant along Galana Road in Kilimani area who have left their workstations to decry an injustice they say has gone on for far too long, one they want to give a voice to even if it comes at a cost. It is allegedly an open secret, at least one shared by this group of employees who say that more often than not they are forced to relay an unwritten rule here. No African guests are allowed at the restaurant after 5 p.m.
Some of the times when I am serving a client on their table and the order is clear that Africans are not allowed to be in the restaurant past 5, then I'll just have to tell them that you're not allowed in. So they'll ask me, why do you say that? Why didn't you tell us that thing early? What I will do, I'll just try to explain to the customer so that he or she doesn't get that annoyed. But at long last, he or she will have to leave. If she's an African, and she's accompanied by a European or a Chinese, she can come in.
But even as the allegations of racism continue to be made against the management, it is emerging that the restaurant does not have an operating license. The owner was on Monday accused of operating a restaurant without a license and was bonded for 50,000 shillings. And it seems the management is not only accused of racism by its own employees, but also of exploitation.
I've been working here for 4 years, you see, and my NSSF and NHIF, they've been deducting it monthly, but it does not reflect in my account.
So there you have it. You have the workers themselves telling you they have to tell their own people, their own kind. After 5 p.m., you're not welcome here. You have to finish eat before 5. And if you want to come back in this restaurant after 5 p.m., you have to return with European, Indian, or a Chinese. They're paying them less. And again, this is so mind-boggling to me. Why did it take 4 years for these workers to come forward and talk about this? It shouldn't even have been 6 months. It should, much less 4 years. They've been working there 4 years, telling your own citizens they cannot come into this restaurant, this business to eat. Say something earlier. Make it be known loud. Don't wait until 4 years gone by till something happened big that you're not gonna come out and say yes, this is what we were told to do. But take a look at this another video where some other Kenyans destroy this restaurant. Take a look.
Angry youth chanting slogans and waving placards condemning racism.
One Kenya, no racism. One Kenya, no racism.
These were the scenes today before things fell apart. They first marched to the Chinese restaurant in Kilimani, mission to vent out their frustrations against the restaurant's policy of not admitting Africans into the restaurant after 5 p.m. And when they arrived, all hell broke loose. The rowdy youth forced themselves into the premises, and when they got in, they immediately started destroying property, some seeing it as an opportunity to loot whatever they could get their hands on. The charges, but is still being detained at the Langata Women's Prison. The Director of Public Prosecutions objected to her release on bail on the grounds that she was a foreigner and had refused to disclose details of her immigration status. Earlier this week, Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero ordered the restaurant to be shut down over defective licensing. It is an issue that has sparked quite a debate among Kenyans, with many questioning how such an establishment has been operating without the government's knowledge. The restaurant's management, however, maintains that their policy was necessary following a robbery in 2013. Fatma Pole, KT.
So there you have it, where you see young people, they destroy, they loot it, they take everything out. You see they have in sink, because the sink, everything was taken out and damaged the restaurant from this. But this is not the first time this happened. We are in Jamaica. Honestly, we had some Chinese developers kill Jamaica. They built an hotel. And after the hotel was built and finished and they're accepting guests, they tell black people, Jamaicans, they're not allowed on the property. They cannot come stay in a room. They're not allowed there. You have to be only Europeans are allowed to come on the property and Chinese. And what did the Jamaican citizen did? They burn it to the ground. First, the owner was locked up. Here's a video of her. Take a look.
The restaurant's manager, Ms. Zhao Yang, was on Thursday charged before a criminal court in Nairobi with being in the country illegally and operating a business without a permit. Yang.
It is so unfortunate that Africans get shitted on, both on the continent of Africa, but even when they get out of Africa, they get shitted on. And it's so crazy because it's not just Africans, it's all black people. Black Americans complain of how Indians normally treat them bad. They complain about how Asians literally don't want to serve them. This is not just something that is limited to us here on the continent of Africa. However, it is so worse here on the continent of Africa. But just, I think about 1 month ago, in Nigeria, they destroyed a supermarket that was opened by Chinese still. And they were saying they are only catering for only Chinese. Where do you go as a black person or as an African person and open a supermarket and you say it's only for Africans? Where do you do that? We don't have the luxury of doing these things to their people. People will ask, who is allowing this? Of course, our politicians. Of course, our politicians are allowing this. They're the ones that are enabling this type of behavior. People like Idi Amin that chased the Asians because of the way they were treating, nationals here in Uganda. He was named a dictator, unfortunately, when all he was caring for is the interests of his own people, and how these Asians were actually taking up each and everything. Even when he chased them out of the country, it is alleged that he actually paid them reparation for the damage and everything they left behind. But you know what doesn't get talked about? Yeah, that doesn't get talked about. This is happening in Jamaica as well. I'm sure you all have seen that hotel that was destroyed by Jamaicans because they were restricting the nationals from going there. A lot of them are still actually chasing, Jamaicans off their beaches. You all saw the video that I brought you just about probably a month ago of nationals breaking the property of some white guy some white people that were, claiming the beaches of St. Lucia, and they were actually chasing people away. But these actions, especially what happened in Kenya with the protests and people breaking in to the Chinese restaurant, should be an indication and, a wake-up call to all these people that are mistreating people in these countries that the lands that they are on do not belong to them, and they should really tread lightly, because otherwise. Recently, I made a story of a Jamaican woman that was trying to inform Jamaicans of their history and telling them that we are all one Jamaicans, regardless of race and all of that. But it is the same people, as soon as the curtains close like this, yes, they are the same people that are chasing them off their beaches. They're the same people that are chasing them off the, the establishments they are making. Now, people like this come in the country in the guise of being investors. But when they reach to the country, they literally start, mistreating nationals. I thought nationals are supposed to be your target, and therefore you should actually treat them good, because they are going to be your customers. And guys, on so many occasions, we have seen people complaining of the fact that these people come as investors in our countries, they establish factories, but after distributing and selling things to our traders over here, they actually end up still coming in the market where final consumers are. And by law, it is against the law for these people to come out in the markets and start vending products. But they have the nerves and the audacity to mistreat people, but also they want to take each and every small opportunity. That is why I was saying that nobody wants anybody here to develop in Africa. As we are celebrating and we are clapping our hands thinking, oh, Chinese don't do anything, look what they are doing. When they open up factories, guess what? They sell to you to sell to the final consumers, but they even leave the factories and they come start vending. I've had a lot of people complaining about Pakistanis, about Indians, about Chinese that are bringing products to the market and they're selling them for cheap. And that is the reason as to why this very past month, Ugandan traders were actually, protesting because of the taxes that were introduced, but also because of, the freedom that these foreigners, that the so-called investors have, that they leave their factories and they come in the markets and they start selling these things, for well little. They are literally taking the market, So where do you expect our people to sell these things? Some of these people call themselves investors. Unfortunately for me, I say they are harvesters. They are not up to anything good for us. If people keep clapping and they're like, oh, Chinese are not trying to, to colonize us, that's exactly what they are trying to do. All they care about is where the population is going to come and fit. When they make money and get money out of you, the money does not come and sit in your country. Their money goes back to their country. They are not actually trying to even develop your countries. They are not trying to develop roads. They are not trying to treat your own people good. Some of these people have nerves. They literally even have prisons. Prisons. There's a story that made rounds in Nigeria. They have their own prisons. It's time for us to wake up. When our people go to their countries, if you do not have any proper documentation, you have to be deported and go back to your country. They literally look at you every other time. They discriminate against you even if you are there legally. We have given them so much freedom to literally start stepping on our own people. I highly applaud the people that are coming out to do this to their businesses, because like I said, until when we stand up and we start doing something, we are not going to be listened to. That's why I'm saying, if we make such stories, please make sure you watch them, share them, so we expose these people. We have leaders that are seated in parliaments and in positions that literally do not even know how to interpret the law. It's the people now, the normal person, the Gen Zs, the millennials, that are realizing that, hey, this is wrong. Can you imagine having people that are working for this restaurant for 4 years and they are not doing anything? They are literally exploiting them. They are overly using them. They are even stealing their money. They are paying them just pennies. The people that we are counting on, unfortunately, it takes one high-profile person to go there for these things to be exposed. When normal people talk about these things, nobody wants to listen until when racism acts upon our highly profile people, until when racism happens to our politicians. That is when they know that this is wrong. That is when they start investigating. We cannot continue to be oppressed by people that do not belong here. The sooner we realize that these people are up to nothing good, and we start actually reminding them of whose lands they are operating on and which people are actually creating this beautiful, calm atmosphere for their businesses to thrive. Until we do that, guys, we are not going to go anywhere. And like our brother said, that in fact, even the politicians that are enabling this, that lady was actually arrested and put in jail. But yes, what about the politician that was bribed? The one that took the money, even that guy needs to be put in jail as well, because they are betraying the loyalty of their people. Let's stop enabling and allowing this to happen to us. I don't know what you guys think in the comment section. Share this video, like it, subscribe to the channel if you have not. I'll see you in another video. My name is Gracie. I love you all. Bye.